The story of the grasshopper case. One day, a grasshopper was so busy searching for food that he lost his way home. At night, the weather was cold and the rain was pouring down, making us shiver. It wanted to find a place to sleep, but the darkness was so thick that it didn't know which way to go. "Let's just crawl and risk finding a place that won't get wet so we can lie down for the night." Thinking like that, the grasshopper kept crawling on a tree branch until he could hold on. In the end, it unexpectedly found its way into the bird's house. Coming here, the grasshopper felt warm and comfortable. But a voice asked, "Late at night, who came into my house? Be careful not to step on my children." Seeing the mother bird stand up and ask that, the grasshopper groaned and replied breathlessly, "I'm the grasshopper. Dot. Dot. The night is so cold. Dot. Dot. Please let me sleep for one night, get up in the morning and leave immediately. The house is torn and cramped, the mother and children do not have enough beds." "Well, let's go find another place." But the grasshopper still begged, "Let me lie down here for a little while outside, otherwise I will freeze and be unable to walk anymore." Hearing that, the mother bird took pity on her and replied, "Okay, let me lie down on the other side, but you have to bend your legs so you don't step on my children." So I put my 2 claws in my stomach, placing my back right next to the bird's babies. Just a short while later, everyone was sleeping soundly. While sleeping soundly, suddenly a deer called, "Thump," next to the house. The sound was so loud that it startled the grasshopper awake. Chua stretched his arms and then forgot what the bird told him to do and stretched out his long legs. The bird's house was originally placed suspended on a custard apple branch. The house was so torn because the wind had beaten it to pieces and hadn't been able to fix it for a long time. The grasshopper stretched out so hard it made the whole place crackle. "Oh my! It's lost, it's lost!" the mother bird cried loudly. Sure enough, the grasshopper's leg stretching hurt it. A few baby birds were pushed to one side, the house tilted, and after just a moment of leaving the custard apple branch, a baby bird that was still fast asleep also rolled over and fell into the river. The bird's mother flew frantically to look for it, but it was swept away by the water. Angry that grasshoppers suddenly came to cause disaster in her house, the next morning the bird's mother went to sue the Buddha. Hearing the plaintiff's explanation, the Buddha immediately followed the place to examine it and then called the grasshopper to ask, "Why did you come at night to harm someone's house?" The bird's house, but it also let the Buddha know that it had no malicious intentions. "I am not an ungrateful person. Because a deer suddenly came from nowhere and screamed in my ear, making me jump. That's why I stretched my legs out of habit, so I ended up in a bad situation." Seeing the grasshopper's sincerity, the Buddha also took pity on him, so he called the deer to come, told him the whole story of what had happened, and then said, "The house collapsed. I died, obviously because of your screams. Why did you come here so late at night to scream and cause trouble?" Nai quickly replied, "I'm so wronged. At that time, I was also closing my eyes. Suddenly, a green custard apple fell and hit me in the face, making me scream. So it's the custard apple, not me." Hearing the deer's reasonable expression, the Buddha turned to ask the custard apple tree, "Why did you let the green fruit fall on the deer's face, making it scream, causing disaster for people's homes? Do you know your crime yet? Wait until the Buddha finishes accusing, then immediately answer, "Sir, I don't want my green fruit to fall. Because the worm hurt me, it bit the stem of the green fruit. That's why the fruit fell. The worm was sent by the Buddha to tell me the story and then accused, have you seen clearly? If you don't bite the green custard apple, no misfortune will happen to the bird's family. So you cannot avoid sin." But the Buddha did not expect it and did not admit it. The worm replied, "Sir, I used to live peacefully in the dry leaves down there. There I had a lot of delicious food. But these past few days, a chicken has come from somewhere looking to kill my entire family, which is very scary. How lucky I am, I was able to crawl up here. There was nothing to stuff into my stomach, so I had to nibble on some green custard apple peels to satisfy my hunger. If it falls on a deer or something else, it's not my fault but the chicken's fault. It's the chicken's turn to be confronted. Chicken is not originally from this area. It has a cub. Mother and daughter often take each other out to find food. But food is increasingly scarce. The day before yesterday, the hen's mother asked someone she knew to take her across the river and promised to hatch duck eggs to repay her favor. So these days the chickens are full. But when he heard the Buddha accuse him of causing disaster to the bird, he was stunned and didn't know what to say to defend himself because this area was not his hometown. Asked 3 times, the chicken could not answer, so the Buddha ordered him to be detained. The chicken's brood had 4 females and 1 male. When the ducks heard that their mother was being held on the other side of the river, they were extremely frightened. They begged the duck to take them over to visit their mother. The 4 hens missed their mother so much that they scrambled to go first. They only knew how to search for worms and crickets to feed their mother but did not know how to plead with the Buddha for her mother to be spared, so they ended up empty-handed. The next day it was the male's turn to visit his mother. When he heard his mother tell the story of why the Buddha had imprisoned him, the little rooster went to find the Buddha and explained, "Sir, it is really unjust that you imprisoned my mother." The Buddha frowned and asked, "It is still unjust. What's wrong? If your mother keeps looking for food on the other side of the river and doesn't come over here, then there's no way the worm will crawl up and bite the green custard apple. There's no way that green custard apple will break off its stem and fall into the deer's face, making the deer scream. Then there was no way the grasshopper would be startled and stretch out its legs, kicking down the robin's house and causing its baby to die. The culprit is your mother. Why are you still complaining?" The rooster politely said, "Sir, that's why I have to complain about my mother, because clearly there are 6 species in the 6 animals. Which one is that? When children are born, God gives them milk to feed their children. As for our chickens, we absolutely do not have a single drop of milk. Therefore, chickens have to work hard to raise their chicks. My mother and I have to work hard to find food. The other side is difficult for smart people, so they have to find their way to this side. The difficult situation forced it. It was not the mother and child's fault." The Buddha saw that the rooster had reason to argue with his mother, so he had to let his mother go home. Seeing that the rooster was small and wise, everyone was kind. Praise. Since then, every time there is a lawsuit, people often bring a rooster with them, hoping to win the case thanks to its presence. As for the chickens, they have to incubate duck eggs to repay the favor, and their descendants will still be the same. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.